movie junkies, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we always here celebrating the magic of movies and physical media with you. Now, if you've been following me over the past couple months, either with my Dante's Peak review or on my social medias accounts, you're well aware that I found the Dolby Vision grading on Kino Lorber's 4K UHD of Dante's Peak to be a little problematic. I noticed that when Dolby Vision is activated, the video looks really overly bright, even overly exposed, I would say. Yet when I deactivate Dolby Vision and watch it in HDR, it looks perfectly fine. It looks how it should. However, I learned that Turbin Median had also released Dante's Peak on 4K UHD, and so I wanted to compare the two releases directly. So I got in touch with Turbin, got in touch with the rep, and he was kind enough to provide me review copies of not just Dante's Peak on 4K, but also Daylight, which Kino Lorber pulled from release well over a year ago, and we're not hearing any new date announcements. I don't know if it's going to be released here. And also they sent me the Frighteners on 4K, which I'm currently working on a comparison for both Daylight and Frighteners, so stay tuned for that. Now, when comparing the Dolby Vision, honestly, it's going to be impossible to visually see the differences here, and that's because YouTube and also my analysis software I use cannot decode Dolby Vision. They can only decode HDR or HDR10. So when examining the Dolby Vision metadata on both the Kino Lorber and Turbin editions, they both have a luminous rate of up to 4,000 nits. So this rules out that reason as the cause for the overly bright appearance on the Kino Lorber disc. I originally thought that that might be the reason why, but it's not. Now, both editions have been approved by director Roger Donaldson, and from what I understand from the film's producer as well. And it's possible, very possible, that the filmmakers intentionally requested a brighter Dolby Vision presentation because 4,000 nits is not commonly used for Dolby Vision encoding. I even did a little research of my own and looked at some Dolby Vision titles in my own collection, and the vast majority top out at 1,000 nits, with only a few, literally a few, up to 4,000 nits. Ben-Hur is one of them. And while this could create more brightness with the Dolby Vision grade, it still really doesn't account to why Kino Lorber version appears noticeably brighter than Turbin's Dolby Vision. So after watching several scenes from both editions, I do notice that Turbin's Dolby Vision presentation does look significantly more natural and balanced, really closer to what I expected from a modern 4K release with Dolby Vision encoded. However, I did notice something else, which I believe I have finally found the reason as to why Kino Lorber is brighter. And that is the difference in the video bitrate. Turbin's Dolby Vision encode typically hovers in the high 60s to the high 70s. I saw it peak out around 78 Mbps. It didn't go any higher than that. And in darker scenes, it ranges from high 40s to the high 50s Mbps. Now, in contrast to that, Kino Lorber's Dolby Vision encoding is frequently much higher, in the high 90s, and I saw it peak out around 110 Mbps. And even in darker scenes, it maintains a high 80s to low 90s Mbps. And this is really a substantial difference in bitrate, and I think it appears to be the primary culprit, the factor behind the much brighter, more aggressive Dolby Vision presentation on the Kino Lorber disc. That's the only conclusion I can come up with why Dolby Vision on Kino Lorber looks significantly brighter than Turbin. There's also a similar discrepancy that exists with the Dolby Atmos audio tracks. Turbin's Atmos mix is noticeably more immersive and aggressive and detailed, while Kino Lorber's feels somewhat more, much more restrained and subdued. It just didn't have that punch and that wow factor I was expecting from this Atmos disc that Turbin has. And it tells the same story when I look at the bitrate. Turbin's Atmos track ranges from the high 5s to 6.3 Mbps I saw it top out at, whereas Kino Lorber's with it typically in the high 2s to the mid 3s. So again, this seems to be the conclusion, is the bitrate differences between the two editions with the Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. Now, when I did get Turbin's releases in, I did an unboxing, and I did have some viewers ask me, you know who you are, if I could do a quick comparison, differences outside the Dolby Vision of the image quality when comparing both the disc and standard HDR. So both editions are sourced from the same 4K restoration taken from the original 35mm negative in HDR and Dolby Vision grading. So Turbine does have a slight edge here. The colors appear a touch more natural and more depth and vibrant, and the image also looks slightly cleaner. However, the difference is also very subtle. Honestly, most viewers won't even notice a difference unless they're actively looking for it or watching it on a large screen 85-inch TV or larger with their eagle-eye vision. In fact, on my 65-inch display, I compared the two and I literally saw very little, if any, difference whatsoever between the two editions in HDR. So at the end of the day, who is the winner here? Well, honestly, both releases deliver an excellent 4K UHD presentations. They both have great transfers. The Kino Lorber edition is by no means a bad release. Its HDR presentation looks very strong and healthy, as I demonstrated in my earlier 4K versus Blu-ray comparison of Dante's Peak, comparing it to the previous Universal Blu-ray. So again, the issue is only isolated to the Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos encoding. That said, because of that, the overall edge does go to the Turbine release. Because of the superior Dolby Vision encoding and higher quality of the Atmos track, it makes this one the winner for viewers with a Dolby Vision setup. But if you don't have Dolby Vision or Dolby Atmos, then Kino Lorber is a perfect choice. Again, it's by no means a bad 4K transfer. Alright, so here are my scores between the two editions. I'm giving Kino Lorber 4K UHD presentation a 4.5 out of a 5. As far as Turbine, I'm giving it a overall score of a 5 out of a 5. So yeah, if you want to pick up the Turbine edition, you can either go to their website, buy from them directly, or you can buy from a third-party dealer like Diabolic DVD or Orbit DVD, because Turbine is a German label. You don't really mind the Dolby Vision issue, or if you don't have Dolby Vision and you're perfectly fine just watching in HDR, then this Kino Lorber edition works perfectly for you, and you can pick this up on the Kino Lorber website or wherever you get your physical media from. So yeah, let me know in the comment section, guys, your thoughts on this. Have you seen the issue with the Dolby Vision from Kino Lorber? Do you have either one of these editions? What is your thought between the two? And I also want to thank you guys for hanging out with me for a few minutes here as we do this little comparison experiment here. As always, guys, keep physical media alive and stay tuned for future 4K versus Blu-ray comparisons.
DIFFRENCES presents 4K versus Blu-ray comparisons.